Obviously, this will increase your recoil by quite a bit, but let's talk about the recoil control on this gun. It does not matter at all. So hello gamers and welcome back to another BattleBit Remastered video. In my last video, I covered every single assault rifle in the game. It was a very long video, but I recommend you go check that out because the assault rifles are going to be, like most games, the best guns in the entire game. And I was going to do sniper rifles next, but snipers are very interesting in this game because it's really difficult to find exactly what makes them different. There's a lot of very similar guns, so I'm going to do a little bit more testing before I talk about those ones. But today we're going to talk about every single submachine gun or SMG inside of this game, so make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. Let's go for 1,000 likes on this video and go check out my previous video because I'm telling you right now, you're not going to understand the ranking system or how the damage in this game works unless you watch that previous video, because the damage in this game is very different from other games, and I'm treating this like it's just the next video in the series, so go watch that one. But yeah, our first gun up is going to be going to the MP7. Now the MP7 has some of the slowest velocity in the entire game, only beat out by a few pistols. It has 350 velocity, which is actually the lowest in class, tied with the PP2K. However, this gun has 950 RPM, pretty good accuracy, and pretty solid overall recoil. I'll show you guys. That is really not too bad considering this gun is doing 25 damage, which means it's going to be a 5-hit kill. And if you haven't watched my previous video, you're probably like, wait, that's 4-hit kill, right? Because it's 25. Well, the health system in this game is different than you think. Go watch that video, please. So go watch that. But yeah, let's talk about a very important thing about SMGs as well, is that, look, 30 versus 25. So these guns actually only have a 1.25 headshot multiplier, which means you're not going to be doing too much more damage to the head. So unless you're going to get like a better hit to kill, it's not really worth it to go for the head. And in most cases with this gun, not going to affect your hits to kill, so a 5-shot body and probably still a 5-shot head. You're going to be doing 120 with 4, so you might be able to get a 4-hit kill against a sniper. And this is the reason why I said the FAMAS was so bad in my last video, is because this has an extra 50 RPM and it actually does more damage than the FAMAS. So let's talk about some of the attachments on this gun. So first off, I think it comes with its own sight. Like, I think it comes with a red dot, which is nice. And of course, you're going to be wanting to run like a red dot or something on basically all your SMGs. I prefer red dot over basically everything else, especially on the SMGs. Like, these small ones just look terrible. I mean, you can use it like this, but why would you? It looks terrible. So slap on your red dot or whatever you want. Now, side rails are actually a little bit more viable in this particular case because, as most people know, hipfire is way more effective on SMGs in nearly every single game, so you're actually going to be able to hipfire significantly more effectively, because in this game it's kind of cringe. They only show you your crosshair while you're sprinting, and then they just remove it when you start to actually like walk again. So that can make hipfiring with most guns kind of annoying. Like, you can still know exactly where you should be shooting because it's just the center of your screen, but it's not going to be as nice. So having a green laser, whatever laser, will actually be helpful on all SMGs. Getting onto barrels, this one doesn't actually have a long barrel, and it wouldn't need it even if it did have one, so you can just use whatever you want. Clearly, you're not going to need a flash hider on this one. The recoil is really not too bad, but if you ran a flash hider, it would be a lot of vertical. So it's definitely worth trying out if you want it, but I already kinda not a big fan of the vertical recoil on this gun to begin with, so you're going to want to make this as accurate as possible. So tactical is great, and you could run the suppress as well, but I prefer tactical. Now you might be thinking, ooh, gunfighter or something for the grip, SE5. No, it's just the URK, because this gun has a 4-second reload time for a 30-round SMG with 950 RPM, and it does not have magazine attachments. So what you're really going to need is that grip, because you want a faster reload on this gun, because that is the holding R reload, not the default reload. This is the default reload. It is not great. That's the faster reload, you know, that's not the 4-second one. That's like 3.6. So definitely, please run the URK grip. Overall, what am I going to give this SMG? I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. This SMG is so good. It's going to be a 5-hit kill on many enemies with 950 RPM, really low recoil. And yeah, the reload time is the only big disadvantage of it, and of course the range, but like, it's an SMG. What did you expect? It's going to do 6 damage over range. If you were looking for good velocity, you should not be using an SMG. That's all I'm going to say. Except for this one, the UMP45. This is the next one up, and honestly, I'm going to give you guys a controversial take. I kind of almost recommend that you run a mid-range optic on this gun if you're a low rank. There's one in particular that I was really having fun with when I first started this game, because honestly, this is no attachments here. This gun is dumb accurate, and for an SMG, it is kind of weak for what it does, but at the same time, it is really good. It comes with a sight, so you don't have to use these irons, but the irons are not too bad either. I've never really been a huge fan of the UMP irons, but they work. Most games do them very similar to this, and I don't really like them in any game. But honestly, you can run just about any medium range sight. Of course, some of them are going to have way more zoom than others. but the gun works with medium range. It's really crazy. So this one only does 25 still, which is crazy because it's the same as the MP7. However, it has way less recoil and more velocity. So you can actually run this thing at kind of medium range. It has the highest velocity of any of the SMGs, which is pretty nice. So just run like a tactical barrel. Honestly, the barrel does not really matter too much. And this does have magazines. It only has one quick mag, which heavily reduces your reload time with not a lot of downside, really. Like, it's a little bit more recoil, but not much, and this gun is super accurate anyway. So these two attachments together makes the reload time on this gun really good. Really good. I can't remember what the medium range optic I was using that was actually good was, because all these seem pretty bad. But honestly, this is not a bad close to medium range gun. It's not a great close range gun, but let me just say, like, that reload is fast, dude. It has got a very fast reload. 2.27 seconds versus 3.64. And this is the maximum reload speed reduction setup. UMP is a really solid overall gun, but honestly, I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5, and it barely deserves that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the only reason that this gun is really competitive is because it is a great beginner gun. It is such a good beginner gun. Maybe the best beginner gun in the game, because it is so easy to be accurate with it. The only downside of it is that the range and the velocity aren't that great, but as you can see there, I'm still hitting for 24 about, and if you're going for like 150 meter shots, it's only going to be hitting for 13. So obviously, you're not going to be going for anything like that. In my assault rifle video, I didn't really have to talk about the damage over range of these guns because most of the assault rifles were like, okay, there's obviously a range where you're supposed to be using them, but these ones have much higher drop. So you're actually going to be seeing an extra hit to kill at even that kind of range of 50 meters, which is not far at all. But overall, this is a great gun. It's just not going to be very good if you're a high rank player, but if you just started, great gun. Next up, we have a scam gun. This is the PP2000. It is terrible, and I'll talk about why. So let's talk about the irons first off. They are terrible. They look terrible. Now this gun, it hits for 23 damage, and it hits for 27 to the head, which is not much better. The headshot multi can be killer on some of these guns. So this has the same velocity as the MP7. It does 2 less damage, and no, it cannot run a long barrel to increase the damage. But percentage-wise, it wouldn't get up to 25, so it wouldn't really matter anyway. And all it can run is suppressors for terrible recoil control. So I guess we'll not even put that on. By the way, did I mention it can attach grips? You're starting to see why this is bad, but even then, it's not good. So you could run a magazine, then you're gonna get like even more kind of, it's not that bad recoil, but then the reload is really not good. But it is a 60 round mag, which is pretty solid, not gonna lie. And the default capacity on this gun is 40 rounds, which is, you know, it's good. And the reload time for that is not too bad. It's actually faster than the MP7, and you get an extra 10 rounds. But the real downsides are you have a less fire rate than the MP7, you have worse recoil than the MP7, and also the damage is bad. It is really bad damage. I don't know what to tell you guys. If you like this gun, that's fine, but I'm literally missing the target from that range, and it's hitting for 27 to the head, and from there it's hitting 22. Is this a great close range gun? No. Is it a great long range gun? Of course not. But in close range, this really isn't doing anything that the MP7 can't do better already, except for the fact that the MP7 has no magazine attachments, which I don't really like that, but this only has one, and I don't like the gun at all. I think it's a really bad gun. There's only one thing keeping it from being a 1 out of 5, because it really should be, and that's the fact that it has 40 rounds by default, and the reload time is not too bad either. Like 3 seconds, 3.3 seconds, not too bad. But still, would I ever recommend this over the MP7? Never, ever would I recommend this over the MP7. I guess you can run it suppressed, but that's because you have to. I don't know. But next up, we have the PP19. This gun is pretty interesting because it is not necessary. It's kind of like a carbine almost. This is just a Bizon with the 35 round mag, right? Oh, it only has 30. It's kind of weird that the PP Bizon doesn't have the cylindrical mag that it usually does in every other game. But in this case, it's an interesting gun. So as you can see, it still has 25 to the body and 30 to the head. None of the guns are going to have any extra headshot multi, which is kind of annoying for me. But this gun has 750 RPM, 25 damage, pretty low velocity. The recoil is solid, but not great. And honestly, there's a gun with 750 RPM that I think is kind of better, and that's the G36C from my assault rifle video. This gun is not too bad. It's pretty accurate, but honestly, the G36C was not that bad for accuracy either. and this gun kind of falls off. It's even falling off from that range. This gun does have a long barrel, but it won't affect your damage. Well, it will, but not enough to actually like change hits to kill or anything, so it doesn't really matter. So just run like a tactical barrel. For here, honestly, just like SE5 would be good, or the URK, but I prefer URK for the reload time. But this also has an amazing magazine attachment that kind of bumps it up quite a bit, because with this, you get almost a 2-second reload time, which is like really fast, and you get better horizontal with a little bit worse vertical recoil. So as you can see, this gun really becomes better. Without that, it is a 2 out of 5. But with this attachment, I would say that it is a 4 out of 5, honestly. Like, this gun becomes so accurate, and the reload is so... That was the empty reload. You guys gotta realize. This is the non-holding R reload. It is still really fast. Like... Yeah, that reload is great. If you want any gun for close range that, you know, it's not going to be the most powerful, but it's going to be really fast reloading, really fast handling, this gun is good. And that's kind of all it's good for. The running speed on it isn't quite as good as something like the MP7, but it's not that much worse. But then next up, we have the Kriss Vector. You've probably been killed by this gun like 30 times before, and there's a reason why it's good. And it's something that is crazy about this gun that makes no sense to me. But basically, this gun has 1200 RPM. Also, I forgot I could no clip in this. I should probably be doing that more. Look at me go. Yeah. Holy, you can fire at so long of a range. What? That's only 800 meters there. That is crazy. This has a little bit more velocity than an MP7. It only does 24, which is like, oh, okay, so it's going to be trash now. Well, it has 1200 RPM. It fires 250 RPM faster than an MP7. It does take an extra shot to kill because it does 24 in many scenarios. And of course, to make it actually balance, it does not have a long barrel. That would be crazy, because I think it would increase the damage up to 25, but maybe not. But I'll show you guys it with a setup. And of course, there's one particular attachment that is infamously broken. You could run a gunfighter on this one. Obviously, URK grip is going to be good because the reload time is actually pretty solid, considering, as you can see, it has a 40 round magazine. If you guys didn't know, in real life, the Vector has a default capacity of 13 rounds, 19 with 9mm, 25 with an extended mag on 45, and 33 with an extended mag on 9mm, and this has 40. I don't know why. And as you can see, with a good setup, that is from decent range, and I am killing like 40 people there. Like, this TTK is crazy, and this is not even technically the best way to run the gun. So as you can see here, it has a pretty solid reload time as well. That's the empty reload. Really not too bad for 40 rounds, and what this can do, you know what I'm saying? Holy, this gun is good. It's literally just the PP2000, but better. Like, it has probably a little bit more recoil, but actually, yeah. Honestly, the recoil on this gun is not a problem at all, but yes, it has a quick mag, which will increase your recoil, but not by too much, and gives you a 2.5 second reload time, and does not reduce your capacity. Who made this gun, bro? Like, that reload is so fast, and this is probably the best way to run the gun, but a lot of sweaty players don't run it like this, but maybe this is the best way to run it, because you still get 40 rounds, but the reload is like 2.5 seconds. I'm just saying, like, how is this allowed in the game, bro? But obviously, then we have the drum mag for 60 rounds, 60 bullets. And there's a little bit of recoil to it. That's with a good setup. Obviously, this will increase your recoil by quite a bit, but let's talk about the recoil control on this gun. It does not matter at all. Headshot damage on this gun is only going to be 28.8. So obviously, for an extra 3 damage, you're not going to be going for heads. You're going to be going for center of mass, hit the most shots possible, and you will laser people. Because this gun is just so accurate for what it can do. And you can put an ACOG on it if you wanted to, and kind of like do a little bit of trolling. But obviously, then you can start to see the recoil control being a problem. But hey, I can actually hit people over range. So obviously this is going to be a CQC monster, but not really outside of that, because even at 50 meters, really having trouble, and I'm starting to drop damage, which is totally fine. I still think this gun is way too good. Like, even at here, 13 damage, 7 damage. 7 damage from that range. You gotta keep in mind that some people can have like 170, 180 health in this game. So when you're doing 7, you're not gonna kill anybody, but in close range, it's not gonna matter at all. But last up, we have the MP5. Now, the MP5 has gotta be the best SMG in the entire game. It's the highest rank one, it's the MP5. Well, first off, let's talk about the reload. Okay. It doesn't have the H&K slap. This is so terrible. Can we delete this game, guys? Can we delete this game? Actually, maybe it has it here? Oh my gosh, it doesn't have it. Terrible, terrible game. Not really supposed to slap the MP5 charging handle. You can just like tap it lightly and it will probably go anyway, as with most charging handles, but like every game has that on their MP5, and there isn't an MP5K, which is kind of annoying. Hopefully they'll add more customization for your attachments, but right now you can't use a remove stock or like a shorter barrel or anything like that. 10mm, I honestly want more conversions and stuff, but maybe that's just because I want Phantom Forces to be this game. Okay, let's talk about the headshot damage. So 34.8. That does mean that in some cases, if people don't have any armor, it can 3-shot headshot, but of course people are usually going to have some kind of armor, so it's not really going to matter that much. But if you're looking at the damage here, 29. This is hitting like a truck. It's actually hitting for almost as much as the M4 or the AK-74, only 1 or 2 less respectively, which is really not too bad considering this has 800 RPM, so an extra 100 RPM. The only issue with this gun is that it has a 4.17 second reload time, which is slower than assault rifles in many cases. So this is not really the best in terms of reload time, but you can put a tactical barrel on this. It will increase your first shot kick by a little bit for some reason, but I can't notice that at all. Let's be real. For some reason, even though this is a pretty long barrel length as well, this gun's velocity is pretty low, and you could increase that with this barrel, but like it would reduce the damage, so it's only 19 more velocity, so don't really worry about that. Honestly, SE5 and URK are the only 2 ways to run this, and of course the URK grip is going to improve that reload time. This does have a shortened mag for better recoil, better handling, better walk speed, and that could make the gun pretty fun. So if you run this, you are going to be walking pretty fast. Keep in mind that I have really high FOV, the maximum FOV. The recoil is really good. The only issue is that you just get 20 rounds, which is not much. If you're looking at my magazine here, it is dumping it quickly. 800 RPM is about 13 rounds per second fired, which means you have about a second and a half before you completely run out of ammo. A quick magazine will give you a better reload time than the short mag, but will give you more recoil. It doesn't have an effect on walk speed, which is honestly kind of nice. As you can see now, you have a pretty fast reload time, not gonna lie. This one is going to be getting, honestly, a 5 out of 5 as well. I think this gun is really good for the highest level SMG. It works. It is really powerful. So overall, which one is the best? Obviously, it's going to go to the Vector, in my opinion, followed by the MP5, and then the MP7, then the PP19 Bizon, then the UMP, then the PP2K. Keep in mind, the UMP is really good still. The PP2000 is the only one that I think is just genuinely bad. Now, the PP19 is kind of outperformed by the MP5, but I do think the Bizon or PP19 is still really good. But of course, MP5, Kriss Vector, and MP7. Those are the 3 that are definitely the meta for the SMGs. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. Let's hit 1,000 likes on this video. I'm really enjoying this game, so smash a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Have a nice day.